All right, today on Right Turn Garage, we're working on the Green Monster. Hopefully this thing ends up being all right with us. Me and old Tater got her wedged in here last night, pulled it up at the old side-by-side. It's actually not a bad looking car, honestly. But the old Green Monster, she needs some love. But I got it, pretty cheap, so, and there's, man, these cars, when they sit, they get some sort of funk in them that just kind of hard to put your nose past it. Anyway, so we're going to put the transmission in her today, and, well, we're going to start to put the transmission in it today, and then see what else I got. First thing I'm going to do, there's a bucket of, or a box and something of parts in there, bolts of, God, I don't know where this come from because I don't know. I didn't take it apart. So if you happen to get one of these lucky project cars like this, or you get it real cheap, I'm gonna do myself a favor. I'm gonna jack up the car, get it ready as if I'm getting ready to put in the transmission. But the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna see how many bolts that I don't have, and I'm gonna go from there. I don't think I'm gonna go ahead and try to bolt all of it up, not knowing what the heck I got and what I don't. So there's going to be enough mystery in this car because I don't know how much of it is missing or how much of it's complete. Maybe I'll luck out and all of it will be there, but I'm going to get the jack stands, probably jack the car up, get it ready, sell me bolts, lay it all out, and we're going to go from there, and I'll show you guys what I got. All right, so I don't know if you guys know how much room these things have, but they have a lot of room. Like, I'm glad he didn't know this much was in there. He'd have tried to up the price on me, I think. And the good thing of it is, I got new hood struts, so I won't have that thing bonking me in the head. I went ahead and put down my new creeper. You can pick those up pretty much Lowe's, Harbor Freight, anything that has a big box. And probably can't tell it too well because I lied on my lighting again, but there was just, whenever you thought you found something good, you kept finding more gooder stuff. And here's my lovely smell of, I have no idea what lived back there, but it was living back there, and I'm going to evict it. So, got that going for me. Also, since my floor is completely dirt, but I did compact it yesterday, so I used concrete pad and a jack stand because I like to feel safe, even though it's probably not, because I don't really know the tensile strength, if there even is one, of these concrete things, and I placed it right there in the frame. I wouldn't suggest going on this body line too much. I've seen those things crumble like a house of cards, so I'm going to put these new hood struts on here, hopefully, and then I'm going to just thread these bolts in, and I ain't gonna lie, it's definitely going to be the Green Monster, because I really don't know where the world these bolts go. But I got a box of them, so, and I found one side of axle nuts. So, I mean, it's looking pretty good. And I only found 2 broken wires, 4, 6, or a few of them. So, I'll get back with you whenever I figure this out. All right, guys, this is my lighting situation right now. I just want to show you something. This right here, I mean, that's soldering, I mean, it's going to be a good connection. It's not great, but anyway, this liquid tape right here, I'm putting over it, and then I'm also going to wrap it in tape, but I'm showing you that, and this under here. Guys, if you're going to cut these connections, and you're going to reuse the car, or the transmission, or whatever, I mean, give yourself a little bit more room than that. You see that? That's a better solder job. I mean, it's just right there at the end, and that's, whew, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to use this liquid tape stuff here. I'm going over it. That's just a little coverall, I think. I mean, I didn't even get to start on the finding, you know, what bolts go there. That's a mud dauber in it, so that's good. And then this here, I mean, some of these are a little gnarly, so I'm actually going to run the bolt through it first. This is some sort of factory shim that's all dented, so I'm sure that'll make things a lot easier to work with. And I'll have to make sure it doesn't rub this flex plate or flywheel at all. Flex plate's automatic. But anyway, yeah, so I got that going for me. And then it's just all of this goodness. I mean, yeah, so it actually doesn't look bad at all underneath. It is freaking spotless as far as rust. So that's a real big plus. And there's just random stuff like unbolted. I can't tell you why. But you know, I know whenever I'm learning how to take apart all this good stuff, sometimes I take extra stuff off too, and there's where I kind of scraped a little bit, but it'll be all right. And I still haven't found the other 6 axle bolts. So I'm hoping they magically reappear and we can get on from there. But it's so dark 30 and I gotta work tomorrow. So there's my starter, and I'm sure it just works like a peach. I bet you it's a good one. There's some random bolts. Like I say, I put these 6 bolts in there. These are 2 more wires that I have to find. I haven't even found these darn things yet. So I'm sure I'll find it. Looks like they're zip tied up. And then all the randomness that came with the car. But that was free. All that was free. So, you know, gotta take the good with the bad, I guess. But guys, if you're gonna cut wires, leave more than, I mean, look at that. That's not even a little fat finger's worth right there. And you got all of this wire. You know, it's gonna look better. You'd be able to hide it at least. Like, no wires have ever been cut on that car. But yeah, so now I got that going for me. Here's a better shot of the interior. The good thing of it is, every compartment I open has those bolts. It has bolts. Because engineers, they usually put way more bolts than a person needs, so. You work on these things at all. And actually the interior, with the exception of being extremely cruddy where it's been setting, it's actually really nice. No tears. The carpet's all good. That's not so great, but I mean, but it is what it is. Sunroof, turbo with heated seats and all that good stuff. So anyway, we're gonna call it a night and put a bow on it, because I gotta work tomorrow, and you know, they don't really pay me a whole lot to work on my own stuff yet, so. But oh, I took the tires and wheels off too, just because, you know, you can't have a car sitting in a garage without the tires and wheels off of it. I think that's pretty much mandatory. So that's what that all looks like. Nice and rusty and crusty. But look at the tread on that one. Yep, that's a good one. But anyway, we'll reconvene hopefully tomorrow night if I get enough time, and we'll do a part 2. This may be a little weekend 6-7 hour deal. Hopefully get the transmission back in it, find all the wires it's cut, hopefully the bolts, and we'll have more daylight to mess with it. at least on one weekend day. So we're gonna go from there. We'll get back with you. All right, guys. So before I put this transmission back up in here, yeah, I found my selfie stick. Okay. Anyway, before I put this transmission back up in here, I had to go through and fix all these beautiful wires, how they were cut. And I found another one right. I could show you from the other side. Anyway, guys, if you don't know how to remove clips like this, just look for the little notch. Usually you lift up or pry down. Anyway, I don't know the condition of the fluid in this thing. I don't have a hexagon bolt, whatever, you know, that big. I don't have one. So an old trick an Indian taught me was to take a bolt with the correct head size, put it in there, and double lock. See that there? What that does is prevent this nut from turning out. So as you turn out, it's going against this nut, and it becomes, I mean, just solid as steel. And as you can see by the crud there, I've already broke it loose. And this is your fill hole, by the way. At least it should be, I mean, in theory. So I'm just gonna check that. If it's good, I'm gonna put the plug back in it. You wanna check it on as level ground as you can. And it should be to the bottom of this fill hole. Usually there's a drain on the bottom, very bottom. I think it's right there. It's either there or, yeah. There. It's somewhere in there. But anyway, I'm just gonna check. I'm gonna take this out with my little homemade contraption. And I'm gonna check it, and then I'm gonna start throwing this thing in. As far as I know, I fixed all the wires, and that's gonna be the fun part of it. So I haven't found the other 6-axle bolts yet, but I'm just gonna take them to a local store, and oh yeah, they're on the transmission. I'm gonna take one of these out and just match up the threads and as close as I can to the actual length, because you don't want to get them too long. They can hit everything, and you don't want too big a bulky head on some of these because they can roll around and hit something else. So you kind of want to have the right bolts if you can, and if you can't, you just kind of make what happens happen. And you see those are a funky little end, and I bought these, I think it's a set of 3 or 4, but 20 years ago, and I think I may have used them twice. And these are probably made in China. No, oh looky there, good old US of A. I don't remember the company I bought them from. Anyway, you're going to need those if you do have these type. Oh, excuse me. If you do have these type bolts, then you attach them to a wrench or a socket, whatever you want, and go in and out with them. So wish me luck. I'm gonna try my first attempt at putting this bad boy back in the car in at least 1.5 years, so it could get fun. All right, guys, day number 137 of Why Aren't I Rich? Whenever you're doing these particular type transmissions, I just found out a trick for myself. I've never done this. Now, of course, I've got this to support the transmission, you know, and back side of the motor, because this supports both. And if you look right down in here, these Volkswagen transmissions are an absolute bear to get up in the car by yourself. I promise you, this is the most pain in the butt I've ever done in my life. So what I ended up doing was taking this orange tie strap, ratchet strap, and just wrapping it around the transmission and winching it on up. I then took my jack to help support it until I got to, you know, a good happy place. But, oh yeah, one more thing. So you don't waste 4 hours and 57 minutes. Now I'm not done yet, but I mean, this right here I'm going to show you a little trick on these Volkswagens. If you're doing it by yourself, as you can see, I already got the mount in. This sucker right here, that is an Allen inside of there, and I think it's a 10 millimeter or something. I can't remember. Anyway, there's an Allen right in there. This sucker, this collar right here will cause you more trouble between it and an AC line for some friggin' reason is just always in the way, I promise you. If you take this out, now beware it's spring loaded. You're going to have to push it back by hand and start that screw, but it can be done because I did it, and you know, it can be done. But that's going to save you if you take that part off of the transmission that goes on the inside, because it hits this frame over here, as you can see with all the fresh scratches. I mean, it will just absolute kick your booty. It kicked mine, I know that. As soon as I took that off, I got this transmission up in here in 4 days. Well, okay, maybe 40 minutes of just, but it is just me, and I'm not working in the best of circumstances here. I mean, you know, we got this line. I've been running off my generator, my 1974 Harbor Freight version generator. But nonetheless, if you take that sucker off right there, I promise you, you're going to save yourself a bunch of time. And maybe you don't need this strap, but it really did help. I mean, it helped a butt ton. I just wrapped it around, looped it within the eyelet. I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah. So I just ran it all the way through and hooked the rope through the hook eyelet. Tried not to catch anything, but I did catch a few things. But anyway, yeah, this line here, it is just in the way, and I'll get it where it's supposed to go, but good night almighty. Yeah. But I've got it all mounted up and in there, but those are two tricks I definitely wanted to show you, because if I'd have known that, I could have saved at least 4 hours and 57 minutes, or, you know, whatever. But I'm gonna get back to it, and hopefully I'll have it buttoned up for the most part of it. Maybe change the oil, maybe. We're gonna go and see how the day goes. But I would definitely absolutely recommend removing that hub off the side of the transmission. It will save you a bunch of time if you're doing this by yourself. It can obviously be taken out with it on, because it wasn't taken off. But like I say, you're going to push on that sucker while it's in the car and twist that screw at the same time to get the thread started. But it can be done. So I'm gonna hop back to it. All right, so lesson number 842, whenever it comes to these Volkswagens, is this power steering line that you can't see. It runs down along the bottom here, because I'm on the wrong side. Anyway, this power steering line, see how it's all hanging down all nice, and well, it's broke now because I decided to try to bend a 20-year-old power steering line 4 or 5 times. That's a little crusty and rusty, and it's not the low pressure line, it's the high pressure. If it was low pressure, I could probably just throw some rubber hose over where I cracked it right about there, and you know, go from there. But I wanted to show you that to tell you this before you put in your axle, which mine's sitting right there. There is, the power steering line is, dang it, let me get my light. Of course I don't have a light. Anyway, a little bit disorganized. I haven't been down here all week, so anyway, your power steering line, there it goes. If you can see that at all, I apologize for the lighting, guys, but it runs like right over the axle. It tucks up in here, and it's ran 7 kinds of screwy. So before you put in your axle, to make things easier, and you have broke this power steering line like I did, just don't put this axle in yet. Don't put him in yet. He can sit there for a minute, but don't put him in. And yeah. So I'm going to replace that power steering line, bolt the axle back up. You can see the flange there. See how all this is fit real tight? That rolls over this. I mean, you literally have to disassemble the whole front end. The ball joint comes out, which is actually pretty neat. It bolts in, bolts out, and it's McPherson strut, so you know you don't have to worry about the spring shooting down and killing you and 3 other people. So I'm going to replace that power steering line, bolt the axle up in it, put the nut back on the end of the axle, and we're going to wrap this bad bird up. And that will be day 856 or something like that for the reinstallation of this transmission. Now the cool thing is, I didn't disassemble any of this. I just put it back together, and the engineers didn't really give us any extra bolts. I mean, you know how there's always extra bolts. There's always extra bolts on these suckers. I don't have one. None that was given to me. Now I did have to go and get 6 axle bolts, but since I couldn't find those particular little axle bolts, I replaced them all. It's kind of ridiculous to have 2 different bolts on 2 different axles. So where it mounts to that flange, I went ahead and got 12 rather than 6. Why not? I splurged. So, and another good thing of it is I'm gonna get a new tool on all this, because this thing right here apparently is around a 33 millimeter. And the good thing is I have a 32, I think a 34, a 36, and all kind of your standard sizes, 1 1/8, 1 1/4, something like that. And that is absolutely not it. So I'll get a new socket and all this. And if I ever get a wild hair in my behind to do one of these again, I'll have it. So just like magic, I'm gonna snap my fingers and this sucker will be on the ground the next time you see it. And boom, just like that, like I told you, I'd snap my fingers. Did I snap my fingers? Hold on. And there it is. She's on the ground. No longer up in the air. So the center cap fell off. I guess the glue after 20 years is just not what she ought to be. And I did change the oil in it, and I didn't put that on there because I figure, you know, a lot of people has changed oil. So I mean, if you want one on that, I'll have to get in my time machine and or just do it on the next one, one of the two. But I replaced that power steering line, and it was a little tricky. I mean, she's up under there somewhere, I'm sure. But it had to route all different ways, and these German cars, they are absolutely, they're engineered excellent. I ain't gonna lie, they are excellent little cars. I'm not sure they're meant for old hillbilly in a dusty garage to work on friendly, but I got it together. Now hopefully it runs. I got to get a programmer for the key, which that's going to be another episode, because I watched something a while back, and apparently my retirement scanner that I bought doesn't support this old of a vehicle for programming for whatever reason. Probably German. I'm gonna say because it's German. Anyway, one thing I want to bring to your attention, guys, is I don't know about you, but whenever I do an oil change, I'm gonna have to show you this. Like, it's important whenever you tighten that oil filter to just, I mean, really give it all you got, because you want that next oil change guy thinking, wow, this dude must have been Hercules that changed this. Because it's only supposed to be hand tight, and then just a little with your hand, you know. So I like them to be just as tight as they can be, because it just makes it all so much more fun for the next file. Now, I've had to cut these darn things off before, and this tool that I have actually, whenever you loosen it, it really sinks its teeth in there. Let me see if I can show you this better in the light. Like, I almost punctured a hole in this sucker just trying to get the stinking oil filter off. There is no reason. Fellers, it's called hand tight. You know, check your Wheaties, bud. Don't eat your Wheaties if it's an oil change day. Don't do it. Eat Cheerios or Chex Mix. You know what? Skip breakfast if you really need to tighten it that tight. But on the next episode, hopefully we get to hear this bad boy run, because it earned its name, the Green Monster. That's for sure. Because I'm not used to working on these foreign cars, especially German engineering. It was a doozy, but I'm glad it's together. Hopefully, I mean, I filled out all the fluids up with, you know, everything it's supposed to have. No leaks yet. So we're going to hope that continues. But this one, we got a few more episodes to do on at least. We're probably going to do a little paint scheme. It's going to be pretty neat to it. And it's going to save some money, you know, because it's my daughter's car. And shoot, she might wreck it anyway. Who knows? I hope not. But you know, kids in their first cars, you know, they become invincible. But if she does, I will not be rebuilding this car, because whew, they're a doozy. They're built really good, just saying. Redneck in a barn, dirt floors. It's going to get better. But, you know, I got to see if Mr. Taxman is going to be nice to me or not. But that wraps this one up. Sorry I couldn't do all the things that show you all the little intricate details and all that. I'll be more than willing to answer any questions you guys have got. Hit me up on the face place, and it's right turn on there. Or if you can comment. If you can't comment, I'm sorry. I'm not really computer savvy. I'm amazed I can even do half of these videos as well as I can do them. Most of them's done within one take. Yeah, I was in nothing. No, I wasn't in nothing in school, so it's just luck of the draw. That, or I just say heck with it, and hopefully somebody gets a cheap laugh. If nothing else, I'll have it. But that'll wrap it up for this one on Right Turn Garage. That's the installation on a 1.8 turbo Volkswagen. Thanks guys for watching. Keep watching.